So, let me just throw this out there. I never thought I'd be the guy writing on Reddit about learning English and catching my girlfriend cheating in the same story. But hey, life's got a messed up sense of humor sometimes. For context, I'm not a native English speaker. I grew up speaking Spanish at home, and honestly, I never cared too much about English until recently. My girlfriend at the time, Sophia, was practically fluent. She'd always laugh at my broken sentences and say, "Don't worry, babe, English is easy. You'll pick it up fast." I believed her, mostly because she had this confidence that made me think she knew everything. At first, I didn't notice the little cracks in our relationship. The late-night texts she'd hide when I walked into the room, the sudden girls' nights that didn't really feel like girls' nights. I chalked it up to my own insecurity. But here's where things got wild. I decided to start actually learning English to surprise her. I downloaded some apps, started practicing phrases, and even joined an online group where people chatted casually in English. And let me tell you, it was surprisingly easy. After just a couple of weeks, I was holding short conversations. I felt proud. For the first time, I was stepping into her world instead of always lagging behind. And then, unexpected twist number one, I learned something in English that I wish I hadn't. So there I was, feeling like a genius because I could finally string sentences together in English without sounding like a toddler. I started testing myself by reading Sophia's Instagram comments. You know, casual curiosity, nothing sneaky at first. That's when I noticed something. Some guy, his name was Mike, kept commenting under her pictures. Stuff like, "Looking amazing as always, winking face," or "Can't wait for Friday." Now, a month earlier, I wouldn't have even understood what he wrote. My brain would have just filtered it as gibberish and moved on. But now, thanks to my English in 2 weeks crash course, I understood every single word. And it hit me like a punch to the gut. At first, I thought, no way, I'm overthinking this. But then I remembered all those mysterious girls' nights, and the way she suddenly guarded her phone like it was a nuclear code. My stomach dropped. My hands were shaking, but I kept reading, translating every comment, every reply. And the more I understood, the more it felt like English wasn't just giving me a new language. It was handing me the truth I wasn't ready for. That was the first time I felt real anger bubbling up. Not just at her, but at myself for being so blind. And trust me, that was only the beginning. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. At work, my boss was giving me instructions in Spanish, and all I could think about was Friday. That stupid comment, "Can't wait for Friday." It kept looping in my head. So, like an idiot, I decided to test something. When Sophia came home, I casually asked her what her plans were for Friday. She didn't flinch. She just said, "Oh, girls' night again." Said it with that same breezy confidence, like she'd rehearsed it. But here's the thing. I wasn't the same clueless guy anymore. I had English now. And English gave me a pair of glasses to see through her lies. That night, while she was in the shower, I checked her phone. Yeah, I know, it's not the most honorable thing, but I had to know. And there it was. A message from Mike. In English, of course. "Pick you up at 8. Don't wear too much perfume this time, winking-faced." I swear my heart stopped. My chest felt like it was caving in. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was fact. I closed her phone and sat there on the bed, staring at the wall. English had just handed me the truth on a silver platter, and it hurt more than I could have imagined. That night, I barely slept. My mind was spinning between rage and heartbreak. I kept asking myself, do I confront her? Do I let it play out? But deep down, I already knew. I wasn't going to let Friday slide. Friday finally rolled around, and I was a mess of nerves. Sophia got dressed up, hair done, makeup on point, the whole 9 yards. She looked stunning, and for a split second, I almost forgot everything. I almost believed her girls' night story. But then she sprayed just a little bit of perfume. Not too much, just like Mike had told her in the text. And that tiny detail lit the fire inside me all over again. She kissed me on the cheek, said, "Don't wait up," and walked out the door. My chest was burning, but my brain was locked on one mission. I had to know where she was going. So I followed her. Not like in a movie where you're all stealthy and slick. Nah, I was clumsy, paranoid, my heart pounding like a drum. She got into a car. His car. Mike. And the way she smiled at him when she opened the door, that smile used to be mine. They drove off, and I followed just far enough to see them pull up at some fancy bar across town. They walked in hand, laughing, like a couple without a care in the world. And that's when it hit me. Without English, I'd still be at home, watching TV, thinking she was drinking wine with her friends. But English, my easy and quick new skill, had opened the door to a reality I wasn't ready for. I didn't go inside. I just sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe. The shock had officially turned into raw anger. I sat in that car for almost an hour, watching people go in and out of the bar. My hands were shaking the whole time. Part of me wanted to storm in, flip tables, scream in both Spanish and English just to make my point. But another part of me, the quieter, colder part, wanted to play it smart. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked in. The music was loud, the place was packed, but somehow I spotted them right away. Sophia and Mike, tucked in a booth, sitting way too close. Her hand on his arm, his lips near her ear. I walked straight up to them. My voice was calm, but inside I was on fire. "Hey, Sophia," I said in English. Yeah, English. I wanted her to know I understood everything now. The look on her face? Priceless. Pure panic. She froze, eyes wide like she'd just seen a ghost. Mike looked at me, confused, like, who the hell is this guy? I leaned in and said, "So this is your girls' night?" The silence at that table was deafening. My heart was racing so hard I could feel it in my throat. For a second, I thought she was going to cry. Instead, she whispered, "It's not what it looks like." Classic line, right? But thanks to English, I knew exactly what it looked like. And it looked like betrayal. That was the moment the anger finally broke through. The second those words left her mouth, "It's not what it looks like," something inside me snapped. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of it all just spilled out of me. Mike finally found his voice. "Who are you, man?" he asked in English. And for the first time, I actually understood him without thinking. I looked straight at him and said, "I'm her boyfriend." The way his face dropped, it was almost satisfying. Almost. Sophia grabbed my arm, whispering in Spanish, "Please, don't do this here." Like I was embarrassing her. Like I was the problem. That made my blood boil. I pulled my arm back and said loud enough for the people nearby to hear, "So this is why you've been lying to me? This is your girls' night?" People started turning their heads. The music was still blasting, but suddenly I was in the middle of a spotlight I never asked for. My chest was tight, my throat dry, but I kept going. "You thought I wouldn't understand your messages. You thought I'd stay stupid forever. Well, guess what? I learned English faster than you learned how to stay loyal." That one landed. I saw it in her eyes. Guilt, shame, maybe even fear. Mike just looked pissed, like he wanted me gone. But I wasn't leaving. Not yet. That was the moment the sadness started to creep in, right under all the rage. Because deep down, I realized something. No matter what happened next, we were already done. The bar felt smaller and smaller with every second. People were staring, whispering, waiting to see if this was going to turn into a full-on fight. Mike stood up, puffing out his chest like he was ready to play hero. For a split second, I thought he might swing at me. But honestly, I didn't care anymore. The anger was draining out of me, replaced by something heavier, sadness. The kind that sits in your stomach and makes your whole body ache. I looked at Sophia one last time. Her eyes were glossy, her lips trembling like she wanted to say something that would fix it all. But there was nothing left to fix. "You could have just told me," I said quietly. "All those nights, all those lies. You could have just said you didn't love me anymore." And then I turned to Mike. "Good luck, man. You're welcome to her. Just remember, if she lied to me this easily, she can lie to you too." That shut him up real fast. I walked out of that bar without looking back. My legs felt like lead, but every step was lighter than the last. It was like I'd finally put down a weight I didn't even realize I'd been carrying for months. By the time I got into my car, the tears came. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I cried like a kid. Not just for losing her, but for losing the version of myself that trusted too easily. And weirdly enough, in that moment, I realized English wasn't just a language to me anymore. It had become the key that unlocked the truth I needed to face. When I got home that night, the apartment felt like a crime scene. Everything was the same. The couch, the photos on the wall, her sweater thrown over a chair, but it all felt contaminated, like it belonged to some other life I wasn't part of anymore. I sat there in the dark, replaying everything in my head. The way she smiled at him, the way she lied to me with such ease, and the way English, of all things, had been the flashlight that exposed it all. I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed a few times. Sophia calling. I couldn't bring myself to answer. What was the point? I already knew the truth. But then she sent a text, in Spanish this time. Please, can we talk? I can explain. Explain what? That she slipped and fell into another guy's arms. That all those late nights were just mistakes. No, there wasn't an explanation in the world that would make this right. Still, my chest hurt. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to make the pain physical so it wouldn't sit so heavy inside me. But all I did was sit there, staring at my English practice notebook on the coffee table. The irony made me laugh through the tears. I had started learning English to connect with her. And now, English was the reason I knew she was already gone. Around 3 a.m., I heard the key turn in the lock. My chest tightened instantly. Sophia walked in, her makeup smudged, hair a little messy, like she'd been crying, or maybe just partying. She froze when she saw me sitting on the couch, the lights still off except for the street lamp glow through the window. For a second, neither of us said a word. The silence was louder than any fight. Finally, she broke it. Can we talk? Her voice was small, almost fragile. I wanted to scream at her, to unload everything bottled up inside me. But instead, I just said, talk. My voice sounded strange, flat, like it didn't even belong to me. She sat down across from me, twisting her hands together. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she whispered. I didn't mean to hurt you. That line hit me harder than I expected, because I realized she wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. I leaned forward, staring at her. Do you even understand how I found out? She shook her head, confused. It was your messages, Sophia. In English. You thought I wouldn't understand. But I learned. And that's how I knew. Her face crumbled. She actually started crying, and for a moment, I almost felt pity. But then I remembered the booth at the bar. The perfume. The lies. Something inside me hardened. I don't need an explanation, I said quietly. I just need you to pack your things. Her jaw dropped. She tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled back. That small gesture felt like the final nail in the coffin. She didn't move at first, just sat there, crying softly, like maybe her tears would change my mind. For years, that sound, the sound of her crying, would have broken me. But that night, it just felt hollow. Sophia, I said, my voice low but steady. This isn't a discussion. You need to go. She shook her head. Please, it was a mistake. I don't even care about him. I care about you. I almost laughed again, because the audacity was unreal. She cared about me? After months of lies? After letting another guy touch her like I used to? No, that wasn't care. That was convenience. The anger flickered, but sadness drowned it out. Because I knew, even if she begged, even if she promised to change, it would never be the same. Once trust is gone, it's gone. I stood up and walked to the bedroom, pulled out her suitcase from the closet, and set it by the door. That moment nearly destroyed me. It was like I was packing away every memory, every inside joke, every kiss, and tossing it out of my life. She stood there, frozen, then finally started throwing clothes into the bag. We didn't speak. The only sounds were zippers and sniffles. When she finished, she stopped in front of me. Her eyes were swollen, makeup streaked, and for the first time, I saw her not as my girlfriend, not as the woman I loved, but just as a stranger who hurt me. I'm sorry, she whispered. Yeah, I said, staring at the floor. Me too. And just like that, she walked out. The click of the door closing behind her was louder than any argument we could have had. I sank onto the couch, numb. The apartment was finally quiet, but it felt emptier than ever. The first few days after she left were brutal. The apartment felt like a ghost town. I kept expecting her to walk through the door, to laugh at some dumb joke, or to call me over to help with something silly. But that never happened. I tried distracting myself with work, English practice, even video games. Nothing worked. Every time I opened my English notebook, every sentence I wrote reminded me of why I'd learned the language in the first place. It was ironic and painful all at once. But slowly, I started to notice something. English didn't just bring heartbreak, it gave me a tool I never had before. I could finally read things clearly, understand things I had been blind to. Not just the messages, but people, situations, even my own feelings. I started writing in English too. Short sentences at first. I am sad. I am hurt. I will move on. It felt weird, almost silly, but it worked. It was like speaking a new language gave me space to process the old pain. And little by little, the sadness began to loosen its grip. I wasn't smiling yet. I wasn't okay. But I was starting to breathe without feeling like the air itself betrayed me. It hit me then. Learning English didn't just teach me words. It taught me clarity. It taught me that some truths are better faced head-on, even if they hurt. Weeks went by, and I started noticing little things that reminded me I could survive this. I made coffee in the morning without feeling her absence like a punch to the chest. I took walks in the park, listening to English podcasts, repeating phrases under my breath. It was strange, but empowering. English, the thing that had first shown me her betrayal, was now helping me rebuild myself. I could understand conversations I'd never caught before, joke with strangers, even think more clearly about what I wanted from life. One night, I went to a small cafe nearby, sat at a corner table with my notebook, writing in English. I am free. I am learning. I am moving on. I realized I wasn't just learning a language. I was learning myself. And the funny thing? People started noticing. A barista complimented my English pronunciation. Someone smiled at a joke I made in English. For the first time in months, I felt like I belonged somewhere, even if it was just a corner of a cafe. That's when I realized, heartbreak teaches you painful lessons, but growth comes from the tools you choose to pick up along the way. In my case, English was my tool, my unexpected key to freedom. By now, I'd spent enough nights thinking, crying, and writing in English to feel like I'd gone through some kind of emotional boot camp. The heartbreak still lingered, but it no longer had the same power over me. I started reflecting on everything: Sophia, the lies, the betrayal, and yes, even the way learning English exposed it all. I realized a few things. Trust is fragile. Once it's broken, no amount of apologies can fully repair it. Knowledge is power. If I hadn't learned English so quickly, I might never have known the truth. Ignorance would have kept me comfortable but blind. Growth often comes from pain. I hated her for hurting me, but I can't deny that this whole mess pushed me to learn something new, to see things clearly, and to start rebuilding my life. I even wrote it down in my notebook. Pain teaches. Knowledge protects. Growth heals. It became my mantra for moving forward. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fast. But step by step, word by word, I felt like I was reclaiming myself. By this point, I was seeing life in a whole new way. I started noticing the small things I had ignored before. Morning sunlight through the window, the way strangers smiled at each other, even the rhythm of English words in a song or a podcast. I realized that learning English had done more than expose betrayal. It had opened doors. I could connect with new people, understand jokes I'd never gotten before, and express myself in ways I didn't know I could. Relationships, I finally understood, weren't just about love. They were about honesty, effort, and mutual respect. And if someone couldn't give that, no amount of affection could make up for it. I even started dating again, slowly. Not looking for someone to replace her, but someone who could meet me as I was, a guy who'd been hurt, learned a language, and grown stronger in the process. It felt strange to think that such a painful experience could lead to growth, but I wouldn't trade it. Life had thrown me a curveball, and English, something I had thought was easy and quick, became a bridge to a better version of myself. Looking back, it's wild how things unfolded. Learning English was supposed to be a fun, easy challenge I took on to impress Sophia. Instead, it became my lifeline, my truth detector, and ultimately my path to freedom. I learned a lot, not just about language, but about life, trust, and myself. Pay attention. Small details matter. English gave me the clarity I needed to see the reality I'd been ignoring. Knowledge is empowering. Don't underestimate learning new skills. They can change your perspective and even protect you. Pain can be productive. Heartbreak sucks, but it also teaches resilience. It forces you to grow, adapt, and find your own strength. Don't settle for lies. Life is too short to be with someone who can't be honest. Now, I still practice English every day. I still write, read, and talk, and I've discovered a confidence I never had before. Most importantly, I've realized that the easy and quick things in life can surprise you. They can be gateways to growth, healing, and even new beginnings. So if you're reading this and going through something similar, trust yourself, keep learning, and don't be afraid to see the truth, even if it hurts. Life has a way of giving you tools you never expected, and sometimes those tools are exactly what you need to move forward.